Did you know that knowledge of our heroes was passed down to us by people telling stories from generation to generation, from the loggers of the Northeast all the way out to the pioneers in the covered wagons that traveled westward on the plains? They began as popular tales of simple men who did mighty things. The stories of their deeds grew with every retelling into the legends that forged our national backbone. These tales not only gave hope and laughter to early Americans, the settlers, pioneers, immigrants, freed slaves, men, women, and children. They gave them the common ground of myth and legend, fueling their courage to push back the frontier and build this great country of ours together. Our first tale fired the hearts of Americans in the Allegheny Mountains in 1872. It glorified the Herculean efforts of a freed slave named John Henry, one of the earliest African-American role models, who is proudly proclaimed in old-time spirituals and work songs. Over the years, his legend grew. People all over the nation came to respect his memory and learn of his great deed, pitting his own flesh and blood against the gears and wheels of an encroaching modern machine. They say that everything about John was extra large, like his hammer, his appetite, his belief that he could move mountains. At a time when African Americans had just begun to make their place in the world, he was a towering example of leadership and determination. Ladies and gentlemen, John Henry. In Talcott, West Virginia, a statue of John Henry now towers over the Great Bend Tunnel. It is a powerful reminder that the American spirit is as indomitable today as it was yesterday. Long after, when settlers put up beam and rafter, they asked the birds, who gave this fruit? Who watched this fence till the seeds took root? To the farthest west, he followed the sun, his life and empire just begun. These are the verses of an American poet, Vachel Lindsay, who admired our next hero. The hero, John Chapman, known to you and me as Johnny Appleseed. When America celebrated its independence in 1776, Johnny was a barefoot boy of 3. He was a bearded vegetarian who wore a coffee sack and a tin-pot hat. He lived by his own rules. He killed no animals. He loved the earth and believed that all men were his brothers. Using his legendary green thumb, he helped to feed hungry pioneers by planting apple seeds over hundreds of miles. Johnny was proof that you didn't need great strength or size to become an American legend. A man's deeds can live on. Our legends tell us a lot about how we see ourselves. In the northern frontier, lumberjacks worked hard in heat, rain, and snow. At night, around flickering campfires, they bragged about the man who could straighten rivers and reshape mountains with his bare hands. Enter Paul Bunyan. Strong as 10 grizzlies, 63 axe handles high, and he had a soft spot in his heart for a massive blue ox named Babe. The forest rang like thunder with their labors. Nothing made of flesh and blood could match Paul Bunyan's power. You'll see. Here's Paul Bunyan. Our next hero's real name was John Luther Jones, but you probably know him as Casey Jones, a crack train engineer who was courageous, loyal, and who had an unflinching sense of duty. In the late 1800s, rail tracks stretched from the cities of the East to the plains of the West. With bent backs and hard labor, America's immigrants, Europeans, Asians, and Africans, laid the tracks that carried the building blocks of our nation: food, lumber, and the U.S. mail. Casey was a master at the throttle. He could play a musical symphony on a train whistle and he could get the mail to the station in record-breaking time. Casey would have marveled at today's modern advances like the bullet train and email. Now, here is Casey Jones. Who will be the doers and dreamers of tomorrow? Any one of you could be a Johnny Appleseed. Maybe you have a devotion to duty like Casey Jones, or you have an inner strength to stand tall against adversity like John Henry. Use your imagination. What frontiers will you conquer? Look for the heroes around you and celebrate them. You can find them in the past, in the present, even in the mirror, because you're the stuff that legends are made of.